do this. Oh, sure. Aha. We are alive. We're alive, I tell you. Alive. Uh-oh. I lost my partner of crime. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Hi, Fishing with Dot. How you doing? I was going to say, welcome to spring, everybody. Today is the first day. Yay!
Hey everybody.
Or
Hey Dot.
tomorrow is. Um, anyhow, down south is being hit really bad again with twisters and bad storms. So let's keep them in our prayers so everybody stays safe as much as we can. Possibly do that. Um, let's see. We have a week of rain coming. Yay! But
Yeah.
we have to wait for the frost to leave the ground to be able to plant into the garden. Hello, Christy Sue.
Hey
How are
Christy.
you today, darling? Anyhow, yeah. So I hope everybody's doing what they gotta do so that they are prepared. And I'm gonna tell you something about this deal. Even billionaires that own chains, um, store chains, are telling people to get what you can right now, so that way you don't have to pay the high prices that are coming. So we're not the only ones, advising people to do this, but it's okay because uh, how you gonna do it if you need medical? You know, let's say you get real cut really bad. Would you be able to handle it? Would you be able to put stitches in? If they're needed. There's a lot of legit things to think about.
Hmm.
Um,
Do you know how to use a tourniquet? Can can you, how are you able to alleviate internal bleeding? There's a lot of things that can happen and you just not expect it.
yeah, well, even medical doctors can't always catch the internal bleeding. They can't figure out where it's coming from and stuff. But still, there's a lot that we can do to be ready. You know, um, go to the store, buy a inexpensive first aid kit. Take it out of the containers, put it in Ziploc baggies, okay? Put the stuff back in your case. Why? Because it leaves you a bunch of room you can add stuff to it. You know, stuff that they don't have in it is, you know, bigger gauzes and stuff. Um, Ace Band-Aids. The It's a tape. It looks like Ace Band-Aid, but it's actually a tape, and it works really good. I know about that because we've had to use it.
Sports tape
You know,
or surgical tape?
it's a medical tape that they use.
Yeah,
Um,
that's surgical tape.
yeah, but it was brown and it stuck together better than the white surgical tape that they used to use. You know. Anyhow,
Oh, is it kind of spongy? Are you talking about that stuff?
yeah, kinda.
Oh, the moleskin. Well, we called it in the Marine Corps. We called it moleskin.
Okay. You know, it's like if you've got bleeding, put sugar on it. Sugar will stop a bleeding. You know. But then you won't have sugar for your coffee. Just saying.
Okay. I drink my
Because
coffee without sugar.
you're gonna have to forfeit for here. So, in some other way later on. So, anyhow, let's see, what else can we get into that's trouble? Hmm. Sorry, guys, can't do any gardening yet because one, the temperatures aren't warm enough. Two, the frost has not left the ground and it won't leave until about May 8th. So, yeah, don't do you any good to do any planting in the ground until the frost leaves, you know. So, anyhow, let's see, what kind of other trouble can we get into? Manual tools, they come in handy, you know. I was watching some other channels and it's amazing. Other channels are telling people, hey, you know, uh, get ready for what's coming. And this one channel I was watching, so I know I'm not the only one saying this, but apparently it sounds better when it's a man saying it. But this one channel, and I can't remember the name of it, it was two guys. Hi, Ashley Bradley.
Hey, Ashley.
Um, anyhow, the one guy said he was a guest on the panel with the other guy. He says, you know, they've had tools that you can use when your gardener or when your gas power um tiller or your electric tiller don't work. Okay, Ashley, you have a great day. Um, he says, but it's gonna take a little bit of elbow grease to operate them. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't gonna do that one, you know. But there are ways that you can still put your garden in. Those ways have been around for a long, long time, and people have used them. You
Well,
know
yeah, I mean, they've been successful apparently because if not, we'd be extinct right now. We wouldn't even be existing right now.
exactly. So they're just something more to think about, and they come in handy to know how to operate. And I'm gonna tell you another little thing. Up until last year, I only had a hoe, and it was a funky hoe, and I hated the hoe because it wasn't a ho ho. It was a stirrup hoe that didn't work worth a hoot. The bottom bar of it was a thick, and it was more of a pain in the butt than worked good. Okay, and then last year I got my weed whip. That works great. Oh yeah, that's equal to your dad's trimmer. Be it electric or be it gas. Only it don't take either just elbow grease to operate it. You want to watch out. Do not let somebody else be near you when you're operating it because it's like swinging a golf club. You've got to follow through. And that blade's sharp and it can hurt somebody really, really bad.
Oh no, not that follow through.
Yeah, go ahead and laugh at. Even with a golf club, when the golfers are playing, they have a follow through. That's where that club goes up over their shoulder when they hit the ball. That's the follow through.
Yeah, like when you're swinging a machete or a hatchet. Yeah, depending on
Or a,
what
ba-
you're
or a
hacking at.
baseball or a baseball bat, anything. Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta watch
realize
that follow through.
the follow through will get you, and it's not good when it gets you. Anyhow, we had that, and we had a garden weasel because I splurged and I bought us a garden weasel. Well, garden weasel, it don't till up very much space at one time, but you know what? We used them. That's what we had, and the reason I used the um whip, you know, the weed whip, and that's what they used to be called was weed whips. Now they're called manual um, weed whackers. Anyhow, they because we had to leave big enough room for the handyman in case he got a wild hair up his derriere to drive into our garden to try to cut down our grass. So we would leave all the way around our garden a big enough span that he could drive into the garden and he wouldn't hit any of our food because he made it very clear that he had a habit of doing this. So we would leave that much room and we wouldn't plant nothing there so we weren't losing any food. But then the guy would turn around and say, well, you didn't grow that much food in that garden anyhow. Well, we would have if you had not drove over it and killed it. Anyhow, so the next thing that you also have to figure out is how are you going to, you know, a lot of people, the ones that are just starting out, and there are a lot of people, you can't assume people know how to grow a garden because a lot of people don't. And, if people want to get upset for me saying that, it's up, that's fine. I'm a big girl, I can handle it, but there are a lot of people. All right, there are people in wheelchairs that would love to be able to garden, but they have a hard time doing it because they're in a wheelchair. However, they can do it. They just have to have somebody to encourage them and willing to help them do it in a way that they can handle to do it. Adjusting. Um, that's the number one key to. So I know you can buy hand rakes and little shovels and that kind of stuff. I've got them. I also know that you can buy shorter rakes and shovels and hoes. Um, they do sell them too. And then they also sell the full size rake hoes and shovels. But if that's the only way that you have to work the dirt in your garden, yeah, first you're gonna be slow, but you know what? You can't give up because that food that you grow in that garden can be what keeps your family alive. So I just wonder how many people are really going to be willing to do what it's going to take to turn that dirt by hand. Not use the gas tillers, not use the gas or the electric tillers, but actually have to do it by hand. Um, because right now they're telling people, and I love this one, you're supposed to drive slower, so they're lowering the speed limits on the intersection or interstates and that from 70 to 55. Okay? They're also telling people not to drive the cars on Sunday. You know, um,
Don't run, walk.
yeah, walk, ride a bicycle. I love that one. Yeah, okay. You know, I'm already to the point where, and I've done this for years. I've only gone to the store once a month to get the groceries. You know, um, and I might not ever change that, but you know, not everybody can do that. Most of people nowadays are used to going to this grocery store every day, grabbing what they need, you know, because they're not prepared for anything. And what are you going to do when you go to the store and it's totally cleaned out? There ain't nothing there. The workers aren't even there. What are you going to do then? You know, this is why we say, and I tell people this all the time that I talk to, which I do talk to some people. That might be surprising in itself, but I tell people, say, hey, if we stock up, no matter what, you're not out of anything because the only thing you're going to do at the very least, not have to pay the high prices that are coming. Well, ain't that a humdinger of a dinger?
But that's
Okay.
common sense, though.
And not only that, you stock up, you're invested in food for your family. Eventually, you're going to eat the food.
Yep.
Just saying. So, okay, you've beat the high prices. You've got food to show for what you got, and you're still able to feed your family no matter what. Gee, I think those are three great reasons why we should stock up no matter what. And not only that, tornado season's starting. Well, tornado season has not ended down south. They've had tornadoes all winter long, pretty much. Anyhow, you know that is an hi Big Matt. That's another reason to be prepared for anything.
Hey,
You know,
Cajun. Hey, Matt.
hey Cajun, how you doing? Because of the simple fact, if a bad storm came through and knocked your house down, okay, and you had your food, you'd still be able to eat. And you know, um, if you had a tent, you'd still have a house of some sort, for protection from the weather, so that you could sleep and because Red Cross, they ain't gonna be there forever. The National Guards, they ain't gonna be there forever either. So yeah, you need to, be able to fend for yourself even during those times. I mean,
I like how you didn't even mention FEMA. I would avoid FEMA if if you
yeah.
could help it. I would avoid FEMA. Just no.
Well, I'll tell you something about FEMA. They went through several years ago when the floods were real bad up in this area. They'd start out, they'd give the first person a lot of money for their house. Okay? They paid you for your house and they got your land for free. Okay? And as they went on, people got less and less and less. And some of the
Yep.
people went, hey, we can fix our house back up and we can still live in it. But FEMA got so bad they forced them out of their homes even after they started fixing it up. Danny's working in the garden. Keep an eye on the sky, Danny, because this week there's pretty bad storms coming. Sorry, the phlegm was rattling bad, but that's why we keep saying, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. We gotta know how to fend and be able to get what we need, for our families, and that's good that we know how to do this. You know, um, because even with a house fire, the Red Cross will buy you or get you a hotel room if you're lucky for 3 nights. Might give you a little bit of money and that's it. Then you're on your own. So, it's just, it's not good.
Yep.
The government is not there for us. They forget that they work for us. They think that they own us, and they don't, you know. So, and right now their big thing is war, war, war. What's war got to do with it? Nothing. They're after money for themselves. That's what it is. It was fun, but nowhere near worth the cost. Oh, I cannot believe how much done we left at 9 and they were only halfway through. Oh, Danny, sorry to hear that. But yeah, we watched your video. And it's like these the government is not, put it this way, there's a lot of sick people out there. And that's being very polite and very honest about it, and you know, it is what it is. They can try to hide the truth on lamestream, and then sooner or later they can't even deny the truth. Yeah, Christy says Red Cross gives $50 per person that suffers from house fire and $25 food voucher per person, or $25 food voucher per person. It really don't help. I only know this from a house in Indiana catching fire. So, it's amazing how our government wants to take our guns. Yeah, the reason they want that is because, they're also saying the Constitution isn't real, and it's outdated and it's fake, is because they don't want us to be able to protect ourselves, uphold the Constitution, and oh yeah, when the government goes bad, the people are supposed to stand up to them, and it's it's different. You know, they don't want that, but hey, they've all got bodyguards, and their bodyguards got pew pews and bang bangs and hutchas or whatever. You know, I mean they've got all kinds of ways to defend them people. You know, so yeah, we would never get guns from the government. Only the bad guys do. That's why they don't ever go after the criminals to get their
Right.
guns,
Yep.
because they're the ones giving them to them guys. Remember the boxes of guns dropped in Chicago and New York and all them places? I do, you know.
Yeah, here in California too. They're
Yeah.
everywhere.
And what about Antifa showing up with trailers with signs, and oh yeah, they had pew pews in them too, and all
Hmm.
kinds of good things, you know. Same with Black Lives Matter. So I'm waiting. We have sticks to pull up out of the yard. Oh, that was another thing I was going to hit on. When you don't live in town, or when you don't live out in the country, I'll get it right, yeah. When you don't live out in the country, and you don't have goats, and you don't have sheep, and you don't have cows, and you don't have chickens or ducks or turkeys, and you need to cut your grass, your gas lawnmower don't work, your electric lawnmower don't work. How you gonna cut that grass? Because if you don't keep the grass cut, you'll get mice in your home. So how you gonna do it then? You know? And if you were able to have ducks, geese, turkeys, chickens,
Turducken
pigs, cows, sheep, goats, the yards in towns would be a lot more healthier. Just saying, you know. But,
and guess what? Less trips to the store because everything's at home.
right, not only that, yeah, 'cause all you have to do for milk is go out and squeeze it, you know. And what they consider raw milk that they scream isn't healthy for you,
It's good milk. Yeah, it's the best milk.
actually, I can digest cow's milk from the cow. It's their store bought milk that I can't digest. Just saying. And oh, look at all the people that are intolerant. That's because they're not getting good milk. The whole cow milk. Yeah, the one with the cream in it out of the bulk tank. That's what I'm talking about. Back in the day, we used to have milk cans that we'd put the milk in. That's still the same that I'm talking about here. Okay? That milk, it had everything. There wasn't nothing put in it. It was real milk. And it was healthy for you, not the store bought stuff. So, and you can get milk from cows, you can get milk from sheep, you can get milk from goats. Let's see.
Mongoose, rats, kangaroos,
Okay,
gorillas,
if you're gonna go squeezing tits on rats, go for it. I want to see that one.
wolverines, badgers.
You're not. I'm being serious, not cereal.
I know.
Okay. Anyhow, I know every once in a while we gotta crack up, but it's like they're killing, they're using their bird flu again. Well, here's a little secret about that bird flu. When I was a kid, it didn't exist. It didn't exist. And yeah, I'm watching the chat room because I'm kind of watching for somebody to show up because they
Ronald
want to.
McDonald.
No, they want to report back to somebody. Well, I think I've got something for them to report back on. I'm not sure, but I'm waiting for the see if that person shows up today. Anyhow, um, it's like diapers when you got a baby. You
Right.
know, they ain't gonna have disposable diapers anymore. They're not gonna be at the store. Do you have cloth diapers? Do you know how to use that diaper pin and put it on that baby? And oh, by the way, make sure you have plastic panties. They had them for a reason. Okay? The reason was so that the baby, when they went pee and poo poo in the diaper, it didn't get on you. The plastic panties help protect it, keep it in. But then you better be smart enough to change that baby right away. Because it's not good for them to have that urine next to their skin either. Anyhow, just, and I'm speaking from firsthand experience on actually being able to operate such things. Because disposable diapers didn't come out to be a thing until late 70s, early 80s. And I mean very late 70s. So they haven't been around that long. You might think, oh, well, I was born. Hey, that's during the time I was born. Yeah, well, I was around a lot before that. But still, so, do you have heavy flour sack towels? Not the thinny ones, the heavy ones. Um, because, and Another thing is they had the diapers cloth, which was thick cloth. It was thicker than you couldn't you couldn't hold a diaper up to the light and see the light bulb in the light through the diaper. They were thicker cloth, okay? Um, but they also had like what was a kind of a pad form of diaper cloth that you could lay down inside the diaper too. You had to wash them both up afterwards, but it was okay. It worked. It served its purpose. And all this stuff is what they had before the disposables. And you know, it's not exciting stuff to hear about, but it's stuff that you need to know. You know, are you going to be prepared? Do you have a little one? Do you have somebody that's expecting a little one? You know, I mean, baby food, don't have to worry about that. Formula, well, ladies, I guess you're going to have to go back to breastfeeding. Um, you know, but when the baby gets old enough to where it can have baby food, you have your vegetables, you know, cook the beans up, smush them like no other. It's called puree them by hand. That way the baby can eat, you know. I know how to puree food pretty doggone good because my jaw locks shut. And so when that happens, I have to eat baby food. And one time I wanted a bologna sandwich so bad that it wasn't funny. So I took it, I made the whole bologna sandwich like you would, and I put it in my blender and I blended it up and pureed it. Had to add a little water to it. But I'll tell you something. That was the best bologna sandwich I ever sucked through a straw. And I wasn't supposed to be sucking through the straw either because it doesn't help. But I had to eat and I was hungry, you know. So, and I was determined I was going to eat what I wanted for a change. Because I would go to the grocery store and I would buy baby food, certain baby foods. Because I didn't like all the baby foods, just certain ones. And the girls at the store one day says, "Is there something you would like to tell us?" No. So okay. They kept asking me this every time I went to the store and bought baby food. And finally one day I had it and I said, "Yes, I have to eat it." And they went, "Wait a minute, your mouth didn't move." I said, "I know. I have to eat baby food if I want to stay alive."
I'm a ventriloquist.
It was the only way I could eat because I couldn't.
Ventriloquist, ventriloquist.
Yeah, I couldn't chew my food or anything. So yeah, and it was funny because when it first happened, and Chrissy was being naughty one day, and I went to yell at her, and I like raising my voice, and what did Christy do? She stood there and laughed at me. Ha ha! Mommy can't talk. I mean, she was just a little bitty fart. So she saw the humor in that one. So, but I've gotten really good at talking with my mouth shut. So, but yeah, you know, I don't know that much about the food for diabetes and all that stuff, but unless it's for a medical reason, you know, and not just outright picky, the diets then are very important to know and be able to have the stuff for that person. But if it's just a picky person, oh, I've got to have organic this and I've got to have organic and nothing but the best and nothing but the high price. Well, I hate to tell them, and I sure as heck ain't sorry for saying it. Picky days are over. Wake up.
Yeah.
Be appreciative. Be happy that you have food. You know. Oh, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. Why? That's not the brand that I eat. Who gives a hoot and a holler? You know.
It comes out
Um.
of a can. I can't eat that. Like what?
Well, I guess
I'll
you're gonna
take it
go.
then.
I guess you're not gonna be eating too much at my house then.
Yeah, I'll take it. Give me every can you got.
Yeah. No kidding. Cause around here, you eat what we have, and that's it. You don't ask for anything else. You're just happy that you got what you get. You want picky? That's fine. You can sit there. You can be picky. I'll let you sit at the table with your picky.
Yeah.
Being
While
picky
everybody
all
else
you
eats.
want. And I'll let you enjoy watching us all eat. Why? Because you were busy being too picky.
Yeah.
I mean, it might sound like a mean person, you know. It's like with these sanctions, some people weren't thinking them out very far ahead, but hi, Huga.
Hey,
No,
Huga, welcome back.
you're right, Huga. No pickies. You know,
No pickles. What?
she said no
I
pickies.
know. I know.
But with these with these sanctions and we're talking wheat and stuff like that, okay? And when I first seen it, I told guys night, I says, well, apparently the upper crust do not no longer like their bread because back in the day they baked them in those ovens and then they had to seal them shut. And so the bread wasn't the rectangle shape like everybody knows. Okay. And
Yeah,
then
that's cool,
instead of
Huga.
cutting them up and down like everybody cuts bread now, well, that's
Keep those
okay.
animals, keep those animals nice and healthy and fat, Huga.
Yeah, we understand the animals. Trust me, I understand them better than what most people think I do. But they didn't have the bread in rectangle shapes yet. They would make them in like half circles, okay? And then instead of cutting up and down like the bread is cut nowadays, they would cut across. All right? And the rich people, they liked the top part. Why? Because the bottom part might be a little bit too dark for them. It could be a little burnt. They didn't like that. So that's how come you got the upper crust people. Well, apparently they don't like to be the upper crust anymore because they done did themselves in with their wheat or any other flour product that they might possibly want to make their bread with. Just saying, you know? I mean, it's just, yeah, it's crazy kind of stuff. But that's okay. Um, there are different types of flour. You can make flour out of almost any grain that there is, you
And
know?
most root vegetables too.
Uh huh. You can make
And
flour out of beans
yep,
that are old. They don't float to the, float or anything or whatever. They're not good for eating, but they are good for eating. Instead of throwing out the bad ones, take and grind them up. Make flour. Yes, it's a different type of flour. It's not going to rise and be fluffy and all that stuff because you'd have to grind it really a lot, but You making a recipe that calls for a cup of flour. Well, you'd have at least a cup of flour. You might even get 2 cups of flour, you know, and it's going to be a different texture type of flour, and the bread's going to be a little different texture too. But you know what? At least you've got some bread. So, just so you
Just
know,
insane.
yeah, just something else to mull over, call me names over. I don't care. I'm being very honest with you, you know. And it's like, yeah, I dehydrate a lot of my foods that I grow in the garden. Why? Because when you dehydrate and grind it up, make it into powder, it'll take up a lot less space. You can put a lot more food in a smaller space. Sure, it's in a jar, but it takes up less space than the vegetable being whole does. So, you know, and then you add water to it, rehydrate it. That's the fastest way to make tomato paste that you can use to slap on a piece of bread or pizza dough that you make from scratch. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to make all this stuff from scratch. Yeah, 'cause there won't be no store to go to. But you can make enough for pizza sauce for whatever. You make pizza paste. All you have to do is add a little bit more water to it, and it will become runny. You know, and then add your toppings. And if you don't have cheese, don't worry about it. Cheese is just a topping anyhow. And oh, they still taste good that way too. You know, if you have if the tomatoes are high acid and you're not diabetic or anything like that, put a little bit of sugar in it. It will cut the acid to where it won't bother you, and you will not get canker sores in your mouth. And canker sores hurt. Trust me. I used to love tomatoes, and every time I'd eat tomatoes, I'd get a mouthful of canker sores. So yeah, and Grandpa, it got to the point where Grandpa would take out the salt shaker. I'll never forget this. And Grandpa's look at me and go, "You want a tomato?" Nope. And I'd go in the house and I'd go, "Grandma, can I take it?" Yep. Out the door I go. And I'd walk up to Grandpa, "Okay, now I want my tomato." And he'd start laughing. Why? Because I had to go in the house to get the sugar shaker. And then I'd have to have Grandpa cut off a slice of tomato so I could put a little bit of sugar on it, eat that, and then have a little bit of sugar for the rest of my tomato. Because I couldn't eat tomatoes without getting really, really bad canker sores in my mouth. They were too high acid, you know. And it's like your noodles. You know, if you like to eat pasta, well, I hope you can make noodles because they used to. They used to make noodles all the time by hand. You know, use that rolling pin and roll it out and make whatever kind size they wanted, and that's how they had their pastas. You know, and God's night and I, we did this again. We do this every so often, okay? But we just did it the other night. We were looking at prices of food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, from the 1920s and the 1930s and the 1940s, all the way up. You could go all the way up to present time. We're like, no, thank you. We don't need to see the present time. We already know what those are.
Yep.
But it was rather interesting because things didn't start costing over $1 for anything until what was it, the late 60s, early 70s?
Yep.
Yeah. And there was some things that, they came up with during that time that they didn't have, before that time, and they started selling it too. That was interesting, you know. So, yeah. I mean, growing your own food is great. It's amazing, if you can do it. But that's why I say find somebody, if you don't know, it's you don't want to always assume people know how to do things because a lot of people don't. And a lot of people were never exposed to people that grew gardens, you know. They lived in New York City and was never exposed to it because a lot of them people
Jeez,
live in apartments. They don't have a place for growing gardens and stuff. And well, now they don't live in those cities. They moved out of there to other places. So those people are learning for the first time how to grow gardens if they wanna.
I was like, whoa, I can put these little things called seeds in the ground and lightly manage them from time to time and check up on them and they grow food. What? I thought you could only do this in video games. Garden Simulator 5000.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Minecraft.
No. What's Minecraft?
Yeah, they grow food in Minecraft too.
Oh,
It's
okay.
funny when you see it. But yeah, I like watching the people move and the animals move and the shape of the everything is a square or rectangle. Yeah. But they're fun to watch. Move around and stuff, and it's an interesting deal. But growing your food, going out and knowing how to forage. You can do foraging in your own yard if you have trees. If you have walnuts, you can pick up the nuts. Hopefully the squirrels will give you some of the nuts. You know, um, if you have blueberries, gooseberries,
No, that's a good point, J3.
elderberries.
It's good to invest in fruit bearing trees like tree nuts, trees that produce nuts, pecans, like you just said, walnuts,
Well, I don't like
almonds,
walnuts too much.
cashews.
The reason I don't like a walnut tree is because it has so much acid that it puts it into the ground and it contaminates the area to
Yeah, that's
where
fair, but people like
to where the
walnuts.
garden stuff won't grow.
Well, that's why you don't grow it within proximity, depending on your land. But
Yeah,
there's options. That's the thing. Like there's options like pecans, like I said,
yeah. Pecans.
pistachio.
Actually, believe it or not, you can grow pecan trees up here. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I lived in when I was in foster care. We lived close to the mountains, and people grew pecan trees, and it was a colder climate. But they grow in different climates. They can grow in tropical climates because in Mexico where it's warmer, there was pecan trees there too, and they're kind.
Yeah,
It's a dry environment, but it's humid,
yeah,
and pecan trees grew there too.
yep. And oh, when you go and y'all can laugh at me about this one too. When you cull a chicken and you gotta take the feathers off, well, the newfangled feather defeathering machines that they've come up with,
Yeah, those
Won't
things
work
look like
because
torture machines to me.
no kidding. They won't work because there ain't no gas, there ain't no electricity. But that's okay. Because where I'm going with is you're gonna want to keep your dang on feathers.
Yep.
Okay? Why are you gonna want to keep them? Uh because you'll need them for your pillows. You'll need them for making your blankets warmer. Okay?
Or if you're making arrows, you got fletching now too.
Yeah, and also down coats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know these things are a pain in the butt to wash and dry because the feathers they hold a lot of water.
Yep.
But things of the days of throwing away and pickies, days gone. Okay, so when you buy something, you want to make sure that it's a good purchase and it's gonna last, and that you can find more than one use for whatever it is you buy because you know
The pickies.
it's a word. Okay.
No, I just like it because it's just funny how it's just being used now. The pickies.
Well, it's a word. You can only probably find it in my dictionary, okay? But it's a
Can
word.
you
I made
please can you please give me an example in a sentence?
sure. Sally is very picky about the food she's going to eat. Sally's
Okay.
pickies is keeping her from the table.
The pickies.
Sally can keep her pickies and watch us eat our food. See, there's three different ways you can use that thing already.
It's a versatile word.
Yes, it is. It's got more than one use for it, you know. And Hugo's probably busting up laughing now. But that's okay.
Probably. She
It's
just
all
spilled her
right.
food feeding her animals.
Yeah, because of the pickies. But, it's all right because it's a simple fact. Yeah. Um, you want to be able to have more than one use. Well, okay. You get a chicken. You feed a chicken, it grows. You get a chickie. Yeah, a little chick, a peeper, and it grows into a chicken. The chicken then it might be a rooster too. If it's a rooster, it goes, or no, it goes like this. It goes, rock, 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 rock. No eggs.
Dang, JT,
Anyhow,
that was a pretty good impersonation of a chicken. Jeez,
yeah, I've
that was
been
pretty good.
around. I've been around some. I've had when I was a kid. I had a big building of chickens.
An apartment complex for chickens.
Well, it was one of those. Oh crappers! I can't think of the word.
Mini mansion for chickens.
No, the military have those round things, the half round metal buildings things. All I can think of is over in England they used to call them Andersons, that they made small ones for Quonsets. That's what it is, a Quonset hut. Anyhow, we had a really big long one. It was huge on the farm that we lived on, and my chickens had lots of room because they had a whole Quonset hut to them.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like the Ritz Motel for chickens, you know. And I had to go in there. I had to feed my chickens, water my chickens, collect the eggs for my chickens, put hay down, clean the chicken poo up, you know. And then they decided to kill all of my chickens. Even my little red hen that I told them not to kill, they killed. And
Uh,
then they said it was by accident. And I said, I don't care. I'm still mad at you. But yeah, I know a lot about chickens. First-hand experience. So, and when you live on a farm, not everybody gets good at sound effects, but by gosh, I sure did. You know, it's like there's three different tones. A calf has a different tone when it moves. A mama cow has a different tone when it moves. And then you got the bull, and he's got a deep, strong moo. Mama cow goes moo, and baby calf goes mom. That's true. You listen to him. It is. It's true. You know, and
Well, it's got to be if you just impersonated all three of them. It's got to be.
well, yeah, but a lot of people don't realize that because they don't listen. Yeah, they like people in cities. They've not been exposed to that kind of stuff. You
Right.
know, because most people in a city, even in a village, their neighborhood is all the further they go. You
Yeah.
know, so they don't have those kind of fun things.
Well, the closest people like that get to animals is a zoo or a petting zoo. That's about it. No, no real hands-on experience with animals.
Yep. Yeah. You ask people nowadays how many people know what the term squeeze tit is. It means
It's
it's a
like,
term. It's a term
yeah,
for milking by
right,
hand.
right.
Not
But people
not.
assume it as something, sexual in nature or perverted.
Ooh, never thought of it that way, but okay.
You
I
don't.
guess.
City people do.
Well, then again, they think that all you have to do is go down to the store and you get whatever you want because the store always has it too. You know,
Exactly.
it don't come from. What do you mean it comes from a farm? It don't come from no farm. I just got it at the grocery store.
Yep.
You know, and the grocery store it's gonna always have food. There ain't no food shortage going on. There ain't no this. There ain't no that. Okay, you know,
But yeah.
and if you have material you sow, don't throw your scraps away because you might need those scraps later on to make something. You might have to sell a bunch of your scraps together to make whatever, but that's okay because at least you'll still have your scraps to do it. You throw them away, you ain't gonna have them. You need them later. Oops, I threw them away. Guess I should have kept them. You know,
Yep.
it's like if you tear something down, save the nails, screws, whatever, because you can repurpose them. Oh, they're a little bent. Well, that's okay. They can be straightened out.
Yep.
You just gotta be really good at straightening out a screw, but hey, it can be done. You know, you don't throw any pieces of your wood away either. I mean, and I'm talking like your lumber, your tree wood. You ain't gonna throw any of that away either. Even them little bitty twigs. Everybody, you watch people cut down a tree. They leave the branches there, and they leave the smaller twigs and branches there. Well, you won't be leaving any of it there because your little twigs and your smaller branches,
And those big chunks of bark too.
yep, you're going to want all of it. So that way you've got it for your fire. You're not going to
Cause
want to burn cedar.
nope, I wouldn't.
You can pine, but you have to make sure that it is very dried out
Yep.
because otherwise you get the pine pitch in there and you'll have a chimney fire before you know what the hell hit you.
Yeah, a lot of massive snap, crackle, popping, little fireballs popping off all over the place.
We when we were rendezvousing one time, which is reenactment of the fur trader time, um, we had some friends sitting next to us at their camp, and the wife was
Crackle pop.
expecting, so she wasn't staying at the camp. She'd come down in the daytime. Anyhow, we went out and got our fire going and stuff, and her husband gets up and goes, "You guys are making all kinds of noise. You woke me up this morning." Okay, fine. Next morning comes, we get up and we're quiet. We are so quiet, it isn't funny. We're sitting there drinking our coffee. Her husband gets up, comes out, and says, "Why haven't you guys been making any noise? I want to come out and I wanted to come out and have coffee with you." Well, that's okay, but we'd always ask him also, "What time's your wife coming?" "Oh, she won't be here until noon." 9 o'clock, I ain't not kidding you. Wasn't even an hour after we ate breakfast, she was there. Okay, 9 o'clock, she, boom, there. And my husband and I were like, "Man, it's it's noon already. We're not even hungry. We're full from breakfast yet. What do we have for breakfast? Coffee." But yeah, so we started calling her Noon because he always said she was coming at noon. It was a very good camp name. Nobody could make anything
Uh,
bad out of it.
yeah, I like that. That's cool, man. That's a good
Yeah,
nickname.
you know. And then one day she asked us, she says, "Why are you guys always calling me Noon?" I said, "'Cause your husband said you weren't coming until noon." And she says, "What? Well, he was off, wasn't he?" Yeah. 9 o'clock. Boom, we could set it set our clock according to when she showed up. It was 9 o'clock every time. So, yeah. They were the same people that, their one boy was little and they was up at Petting Bone, which was a rendezvous that we were doing outside of La Crosse on an island on the Mississippi River up there. And he was just a little bitty fart. We didn't have any toys, you know, for this. He wasn't a year old, but we didn't have any toys. I mean, he could sit up, but we didn't have any toys. So I was like, okay. I undone my little pocket and I handed him my handcuffs. And I says, "Well, let's see what he does with these things." And he hold on to the one with his hands and he put the other one down by his foot and then he put his foot in and out of it. He was entertaining himself. And his dad came back. His mom was rolling laughing watching him do this because she was at the camp with us. And his dad come back and his wife goes, "Oh, honey, you didn't even notice the toy that they've gotten for the baby to play with." And the dad turned around and he looked and he says, "Where the heck?" And I went, "Don't say a word. He's having fun." And he goes, "Should have known."
I should have known.
Yep,
I
they
had
were
that good
mine.
feeling.
They were mine, but they weren't cheap ones either. You had to be okie dokie to have them. But yeah, it was fun. But hey, he was having a good time, you know.
Yeah,
He was learning coordination, eye and hand and foot coordinations, and he was doing it all on his own. He was having a good time. So, yeah. And it's like if you have children, going to the store and buying the most latest, greatest, all whistles and bells, whatever, for them to be entertained with. that ain't gonna happen. So, you got little ones. I hope you can make some toys pretty good. Really nice ones, too. Because we don't want the little ones getting hurt. But you can do it, it is possible. Or how about sewing a dolly together? Yeah, they used to sew them out, make dollies out of cloth back in the day. You know, it is possible. So people don't
Yep.
always think about it, but you know, I can keep going if you'd like me to on things that we need to know, be able to do. You know, um, I just, yeah, I think it's a really good thing for us to do. You know, food, food is a magical thing because one, it'll keep you alive. Two, without cutting yourself short, you could trade with somebody else a little bit, but you gotta be careful when that time comes.
Yep.
Um, they might have something that you'd like some of, you know. So yeah, it depends on, you know.
Help themselves to what you got, huh?
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. You know, it's like spices. There's gonna be a lot of people wanting spices because they
Yep.
only had gotten a little bit from the store and they need some, and they're not gonna know where to get it. You know, they don't know how to make Italian seasoning. Well, that ain't hard. You can make it as long as you've got the right spices. You can make a lot of those seasonings.
Oh yeah.
And guess what? You don't have to pay the high prices for the seasonings, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you can make them the way you like them instead of store bought.
Right. You can tweak them or whatever the way you want it to be.
Yep.
And who knows? You could end up accidentally, I mean, on purpose, coming up with a total different spice. And then, oh my gosh, you have to name it. That would be awful. I mean, good, wouldn't it? You know? I mean, here's one to try on. You get you got spices, okay? And you got children that are grown now, and they got children. So those are your grandchildren, right? And you look at them and you go, "Yep, I remember back in the day when there was a company called McCormick's and they done spices. I remember back in the day when Mrs. Dash she done spices. I remember back in the day when Crazy Dave he had his rubs too, man. You know, and oh, I remember back in the day when Slap Your Mama. It is a thing. It's for cooking, and that's what it's called. Was what you could buy at the store for spices. Well, all of these things can be made at home. And guess what? It don't take that much time as long as you get all the ingredients that's needed. You can make it yourselves
Yep.
and skip buying the store bought stuff and paying the higher price for it. You know, I mean, it's not that hard to do, you know, and it's pretty fun actually, to be honest with you. It's like hot peppers, hot peppers. and the really hot peppers. Yeah, ghost peppers and California Reapers. Here's something about these peppers, okay? In America, they're called peppers. Over in Asia, where the peppers actually come from, they're called chilies. So, you know, and you don't have to have them hot. I mean, you can, but if you have them hot, you leave the veins and the seeds in them, and they're really, really hot. Ain't too many people gonna be around you is gonna be able to actually eat them. So you take the veins out of them, and now people are going, "What? She's gonna tell you people to take the veins out of them and the seeds out of them? Those are what makes them really hot." Yeah, it is. But if you take the veins and the seeds out of them, removing the veins, you're not out of anything.
Nope.
Okay? Throw the veins in the garbage. Keep the seeds.
Seeds, exactly.
Keep all the seeds that you can get. Why? So you can grow them. Seeds you can barter with.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. You can even barter with them, like chili peppers. That oh, I'm not gonna eat these, so I can barter these seeds because there's gonna be people that I gotta have my chili. I gotta have that spice.
I have to have my habaneros, baby.
Yeah, I gotta have that spice in my life. Give me them chili seeds.
And another thing, if you grow lettuce, let some of it go till it starts getting flowers, and then the flowers bloom, and then you get the seeds. They develop seeds.
Yep.
There, you've got your seeds for your lettuce for the next year. And trust me, they produce a lot of seeds. Just saying. But you don't no longer have to worry about buying them. So you're saving money and you're eating food. Hmm, that's a good thing, you know. So yeah, I mean you're not gonna go wrong. You're going to end up coming out ahead. So how bad can that be? You know what I mean? Because as far as I know, people like to eat.
Yep.
You know, and not everybody grows the same way. The garden's the same way. Cajun, he does his gardens a total different way, and if I did that way up here, I'd go bankrupt with the water bill. But that's up here. You know, I honestly do not worry about watering my garden because I have an agreement. I'm to put it in the ground. God waters it. Take out the weeds. Work the ground. The plants grow. And so far, he's never let me down on it. You know? But they're saying this year's supposed to be a really bad drought for the eastern part. The eastern side of Mississippi is supposed to be a drought this year. I'm hoping they're wrong. I am truly hoping they're wrong. Um, because one year I remember it was like 1987, and I lived on the edge of a village, and I could see across, and I could see the farmers' fields and stuff, and the winds would be blowing. Bright sunny afternoon. Winds would be blowing, and you could see dirt devils going across. And all I could think of was, That's just like the Dust Bowl days. Because it was. It was like the Dust Bowl days. Where the ground, the winds just blew the dirt around. There was no rain. Everything dried up. It was really bad down south. You know, it was bad all over during the Dust Bowl.
Yep.
And that was during the Great Depression time, too. And people were moving where the jobs were. They were migrating to where the jobs were. And it was a rather interesting time, you know. Um, People weren't able to grow their food. They would they were willing to put gardens in, but they just couldn't grow the food because there was no rain. The crops, everything dried up. The gardens dried up. Without rain, they couldn't grow. So it helps to have a way of collecting water and keeping the water, you know. I mean, it sounds crazy, I know, but these are all things that, you know, people don't think of nowadays, you know. There's been situations where um, people needed rain and they didn't get the rain, but then there's been situations where people got the rain and it didn't stop coming and
Yeah.
it kept coming and the area started flooding really really bad, and every time they turned around it was raining and it was flooding again. And guess what, there's areas down south where that's already been playing out all winter long, you know. I mean, no, the weather is not normal. It's being messed with. It's not a weird way of thinking, it's the truth. um it's just, it's crazy, you know. But the reason they're doing it, stop and think about it. The southern states, okay, they're used to being able to grow food all year round. And by getting hit with these storms and tornadoes and the rains and floods, they're not able to grow the food. You know, the farmers can't grow crops in their fields because they get flooded out. You know, people aren't able to grow garden food in their gardens all year round. Why? They've gotten flooded out. So, yeah, you know, which means there's a lot of places where that stuff ends up in the grocery store, and no, the producers, um, not the producers, the processors. That's what I'm thinking. The processors, which are the companies that buy the food from the farmers, the vegetables and all of that good stuff, meat even. And they process it, put it in the cans, put it in the fancy um, saran wrap packages. You know, put it in the tubes for the grocery store, and you know all that good stuff that you go and buy at the store. Well, it means that those people, they're not going to get that much either. But that's okay because some of them processed plants, the companies are part of the problem. You know,
Yeah.
they've decided to freely not process food. Why? Oh, because people like you and me, one, we really don't need it, and two, oh, we'll just keep raising the prices on our stuff because then they can't afford it, and then we can bellyache and boo-hoo and hey, DC, we need bailout. Oh, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we'll only keep some of it, wink, wink, and we'll give the rest of it back to you. We'll help you funnel your laundry money. You know, I mean, this is all legit, and it's known. It's not nothing new. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Those that don't believe this crap, you stick your head in that sand all you want. You can deny all you want. Just got one problem. Your booty is so big that it's an easy target. But
Well
hey,
said.
let me know how that denying works for you. Because even people that are well off, they're starting to go, ouch, the gas prices are getting painful for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gas has dropped a little bit, but hold on to your bobby socks. Because they're going to jack them right back up. You know, the food, the, the gasoline's dropped a little bit, but how much has the price on the food dropped? And remember, all this stuff was going up before the situation across the
Yeah.
pond started going. And yet, their story, their thesis, their title for their narrative hasn't changed. I mean, even before this, that title was being used for all kinds of stuff, and they always used it to cover up the stuff that they themselves was doing. So go ahead, stick your head back in the sand. You don't want to hear this stuff. Too bad. If you don't want to hear this stuff and you don't want to help yourself, you know, that's fine. And you want to keep your pickies, that's great. You keep that attitude of pickies. I don't care. Because later on, when you start boo-hooing about this or that and the other, I'm not going to want to hear it either. Because you choose not to. Try to do something to help you and your family. That's your choice now. Well, when you can't go to the store to buy the food to feed your children or your grandchildren with, what's your story going to be then?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
And don't try telling me that it's my privilege to take care of your children. Why? Because if it's my privilege to take care of your children, the door will come open, the children will get to come in, and the door will get shut right in your face. Because you just told me it is my privilege to take care of your children. Therefore, if it's my privilege to take care of your children come into my house, they don't get to go back out. I will make sure that your children are taken care of. Do we understand this? Is it kidnapping? No. But think about what the word privilege means. Okay? Because taking care of somebody else's children is not a privilege. All right? And just because you chose not to stock up on food, not to get prepared as what best as you can within your means, because you're so busy denying, that's on you. That's not on me. You know?
Yep. Well said.
And not only that, to help children out, that's not a privilege. That's an honor. And parents are supposed to have it.
Yep.
Children aren't a tool. So, yeah,
They're a blessing.
just they are. And that's why we're saying get off your duffs, quit denying, take the rose colored glasses off, put them on the table. In fact, smash them puppies because you're living in the pretend world. Okay? What's that video game where they've got the goggles?
The virtual reality stuff.
Yes, that one. Take those take those doggone glasses off. Why? Because you're living in a make believe world.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with reality. Pull your head out of the sand, smell the coffee, get your butt rocking and rolling, and do what you can to help yourself the best of your ability. You know? We're not putting anybody down. But damn it, we're trying to help you out. We're trying to give you a hands up. Education. The more you know, knowledge
I
is
mean,
power.
if people are gonna assume that we're putting them down, they don't know us very well yet.
No,
'Cause that's not us putting anybody down or anybody putting anybody down.
that's me telling y'all to knock off your BS games. Okay? It's like, I don't care who you are, how important you think you are. I really don't care how much money you have or don't have. Okay?
Yeah.
You could be the poorest person next to me, and you could be the richest person on the other side of me. Okay? We all have pants, right? And on the count of three, we're going to put our pants on. 9 times out of 9 times, it's going to be one leg at a time. Everybody puts their pants on. Oh my. Who'd have thought
No.
that one?
No way. That's impossible.
Okay? Everybody goes to the bathroom. Oh, yeah, they do. They use the toilet. And
Yeah. Everybody poops.
yeah, some people use 6 squares, some people use 12 squares. But y'all gotta go to the bathroom, right?
One leg at a time.
Well, alright, you have a bowel movement, which used to be a BM. Okay, that's what they called it in the medical fields back in the day. They might still to this day, I don't know. But anyhow, you know, here's another thing 9 times out of 9, everybody's shit stinks. Just saying. Yep. And it's like everybody farts. So,
Yep. Everybody bottom burps.
occasional cortex, she doesn't have nothing. You know, their green deal, it's a good scam, but you know what? All these other countries, They're sure in a rush. They're not really caring too much about the oil. They went to gold backing for their currency, but they sure are rushing to buy that doggone coal again. Oh, wait, guess what? You can also make coal gas too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, but hey, who am I to know any of this stuff? So, we're not putting anybody down
Nope.
because trust me, I can be just as bad of a stinky when I fluff as a rich person does when they fluff, fart, whatever you want to call it.
Bottom
Passing
burp.
gas, bottom burp. Hey, yes, we're getting technical now, aren't we?
Yep.
But
Bottom burping.
yeah, and as far as I'm aware, the egg farts are still number one. Watch out, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't look at people by how much money they've got in their bank account. I don't care.
Right.
That's not my style. I look at people by what I see on the inside, and that speaks a lot. But then again, I'm one of those that believes in a man's handshake is his bond. A man's words their bond. You know, I believe in. Oh, you want good credit? Then you're not deep in debt. That's what good credit is.
Yep.
You're not deep in debt. In the last 30 some years, in order to have good credit, and I ain't kidding you, in order to have good credit, you must be deep in debt. Well, guess what? A lot of people during this last couple years have spent all of their retirement. Okay? And a lot of people already a long time ago ran up all their credit cards and they're getting to the point now where they don't have any money. They can't get any. People are still losing jobs left and right.
Yep. And their homes, their
Yeah.
vehicles, everything.
Yeah. And it's because they lost their job. Why? Because the job downsized yet again. They
Yep.
can't afford the prices any more than you and I can. Okay? And the worst thing that a person can do is to get involved with um credit cards because you'll be paying forever on them and never get them paid off. Never.
Yep. And credit card companies are making hand over fist too because they're like, oh, hey, moratorium was one of them. And then, oh, you're having a hard time? Well, you can get this much credit right now and not worry about it until later. Well, there's a lot of people buying on that scam right now too. They're biting hard on that scam because they're desperate.
Yep. So, are we perfect? No. We're humans. How can we be?
Yep.
You know? So you see, we really are not putting we're not putting anybody down. We don't care how much money you have, how much money you don't have.
Right.
Okay? We don't care. But we are trying to encourage you to do what you can to make sure you've got what you need for you and your family. Because it's going to get a lot harder. It's not going to get a lot better. Just saying, you know, and people might not want to hear it, but it's time to wake up. And it's time that we all start getting real about the facts. Because the government don't give a rat's butt about any of us. I mean, after all, they've lost how many billions of dollars that they just gave to a certain country that they all keep yelling, oh, we gotta support this country, we gotta stand with this country. No. The people of the country, most of them want to be part of Russia again. The other part,
Yeah,
uh,
roughly 70% plus. I mean, you can really easily round it up to close to 80% want just to be Russia, because most Ukrainians are Russian, practically all of them, because they're all from the same. They're all Slavic, and they all come from Slavs.
and not only that, the cur- uh, what do they call those soldiers? Kazakhstans. Those are the deep state soldiers, and a lot of the places that are being bombed that they're saying that Russia's bombing, wrong. It's the Kazakhstan soldiers doing it to the people.
Yep.
Okay, so people want to get mad at me for saying this stuff. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's the truth. We cannot keep denying the ding gone truth. And this is why we keep encouraging people to do what you can. Because the government don't give a rat's patootie about anybody.
No, they don't.
Okay? They be unless they own the company or they have a lot of stock in said company, they don't give a crap ass about the companies either. So yeah, let that one sink in. Their jabs. Um, think about the gas prices, the rising cost of everything. They want to remove a lot of people from the earth. Why? Because then those that are left, they can enslave until they're no longer useful. But their plans have been rushed. They're not ready. They weren't prepared like they thought.
Yeah,
Things were set up.
when they stop having a use for people, they turn them into McRibs.
Yeah, they do. Barbecue sauce not necessarily required.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry if you're upset. I'm sorry that if you can't handle listening to this. But we can't deny this crap anymore. And you might be okay this week, but what about next week or the week after that? You know?
Remember, what was it? 12 or 15 days to flatten the curve.
Yeah. And look at how
Well, now
flat.
it's
And,
go ahead.
oh, that's another thing. They're going to bring that curve back, people.
Exactly. They have been.
Because,
It started in China again, of all
yeah,
places where it started the first time.
yep. Because of the simple fact their narratives have been falling apart left and right.
Yep.
And now they're right back to where we were a few months ago. They're even considering bringing back lockdowns.
Yeah, we weren't even really out of them in the first place. That's the funny thing about it.
Yeah. So be prepared
Wag,
because they're
wag the
not
gerbil,
done.
wag the guinea pig. Oh heck no! They're not. We're not even. We haven't even entered the tree line of the woods yet. That was just going through the meadow or the field. I
Yeah.
mean, the wide open field to the tree line.
So I mean,
Just
it sounds
hopping
like
and skipping
it might
away.
sound crazy. You might think we've lost it mentally, but we haven't lost it mentally. We are very much awake. We know very much what we're saying, and it is true. So I guess you have a choice. You can either put your head back in the sand and your butt still up in the air, or you can look around, look at your own bank account, look at your own pocketbook, whatever. I don't care, and smell and see what is actually going on around you where
Yeah,
you live. You know, do I know everything? No, never said I did. But I do know one thing. I do know what it's like to A, not know where you're going to lay your head at night. B,
yeah. I've been there too.
B, not know where your next meal's going to come from. Or are you going to get to eat that day? So, you see, I'm a lot older than what some think. In fact, I've changed diapers a lot older than what a lot of you are. Just saying, you know. So, I think we are safe to wrap it up even a
Sure.
little early
Yeah,
because
that's fine.
it's just you and me.
Yeah, which is still
So,
good. I mean, I had fun. I'm having a
yes, I
good time.
did. I did too. And I'm hoping people listen. I hope people try to help themselves do something. Don't panic over it,
Right.
but
That's the
try
worst thing.
helping yourself. If you can't grow a garden, you can buy food at the store. Heck, here's something. Okay, try this one out, guys. If you don't have a lot of money, you can't stock up because you can't afford to buy the food at the grocery store. Find a church. Find where they have the food pantries at.
Yep.
You'd be surprised how fast you can start stocking up your supplies with those.
Lots of canned goods, which will last a good while too. If you store them
Yeah,
right.
you'll get food for now and food for later.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You know, that's another thing you can try doing. You can go to churches. Some places the churches will help you with food and stuff, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I don't know. Around here, the churches aren't like that. But in bigger cities, um, some places have St. Vincent's de Paul, or St. Vincent, yeah, de Paul. They help with a lot of things too, you know. But skim, don't scam them. Be honest with them
Yeah.
because honesty is still your best policy,
Well, you don't want people stealing food from you, right? Because if you're dishonest like that, you're stealing people from someone. You're stealing food from others that may really need it, or that really need
right?
it, like just like you do. You know.
Right.
So if you don't want it done to you, don't do it to others.
You know, if somebody needs help, remember you can barter. They could do some work for you
Yeah.
to equal whatever it is that they need. It's barter.
Yep.
You know, you can't work them to death.
Right. You got to be fair with
Fair.
them in that aspect too. Exactly. Because they're
You
not
know,
slaves. They're just
bartering for
trading their
something.
time, their service for something else. Yeah.
So, just something to think about. You know, I mean, yeah, I know. I threw out some hard balls, some heavy balls, and yet I have no balls at all. Last year, when the construction guys were here doing the neighbor's drain pipe, ACDC was playing in the background. What the heck is that? The Big Balls song or something? Anyhow, there was two older guys and then this younger kid. And I'm singing along with it, and the music stopped, and that kid's looking at me, and I says, "What are you looking at me for? I have no balls at all." And the two older guys, they kind of chuckled about it. And that kid's like, "I can't believe she said that. Did you hear what she said to me?" I'm a female. Duh. Anyhow,
Uh,
um, I will talk with you guys later. Same station, same time. Y'all have a
there.
good day.
Right there, JT. Talk to you later.
All right. God bless you. Take care. Be good.